Yo YouTube! This is a video for Thursday the 7th of March, which was yesterday. Yesterday turned out to be, I would describe as stressful and tiring. It was stressful because of mistakes that I made, and it was tiring as a result of the stress. And probably just because I'm getting old as well. So I did 2 CX jobs in the end. So in the morning I hadn't got a job booked in from the previous night. So I was still looking on the CX app for jobs, and I won a job going from Lincoln to Derby around about 8:10 in the morning. And the pickup was between 9 and 10. So I left the house at 8:25 and I arrived on site just before 10, so about 9:50. But on the way to that pickup, I was called by the shipper, who asked if I could take the load to Birmingham instead. It was 5 boxes, and I agreed to do that for £100. So in the end, it was 88 loaded miles for a long wheelbase van for £100. Now when I got to the pickup point in Lincoln, the forklift driver stroke person customer who was giving me the boxes asked me if I was AD aware or AD qualified. ADR qualified or ADR aware. I explained that I wasn't. And he said that 2 of the boxes had compressed gas in, and so we both immediately agreed and acknowledged I couldn't take those 2 boxes. But I checked with him, is it okay if I still take the other 3 boxes? And he was fine with that. I rang the shipper and explained the situation, and honestly, the only thing I remember from the conversation was the shipper saying, we weren't told it was ADR, so I just said, I'll leave that with you. I'm willing to, I'll take the 3 boxes that aren't ADR, but also, while I'm on the phone to you, you haven't changed the price yet that we agreed to get to Birmingham. And he said that he had changed it, but he'd check. So I then got loaded up, drove off site, and I did check if the price had changed when I left the site, but it hadn't. And so I was in a bit of a quandary. What do I do now? Do I keep driving and then when I get to the other end remind the shipper to update the price, or do I stop now and not go any further until the price is updated? And I decided that rather than me getting all the way to Birmingham worrying about it, I would just stop in a lay-by, double check that it was changed before I then rang the shipper again. So I stopped about 2 minutes out from the pickup point. I checked the booking. I had put a photo on of the goods on the van, and the photo was on there, and actually also was the amended price. So I was now happy that I had an amended price. And then I went back to my delivery point, to my delivery route. Now, at that point, I was making my video for the previous day, for Wednesday. And so I wasn't really concentrating on where I was going. I was just following the sat-nav. And after the video, I then saw a sign for Sheffield, and I realised something was up here. Unless there was a massive motorway pile-up on the direct route, I shouldn't be going towards Sheffield. So I had a quick look at my destination, and somehow I'd accidentally put in a Manchester address for my destination. So very frustratingly, I changed to the right postcode, and then made my way along the M18, then to the M1, then down south of Birmingham. And my ETA, when I first put my correct postcode in, was 12:30, and I'd given the shipper a 1 o'clock ETA on the app. And by the time I'd seen I was going the wrong direction, changed the correct postcode on Google Maps, it was then saying my ETA was 1:20. So I was a bit late, but not massively so. Also at this point, my fuel gauge pinged me. I was 50 miles away from needing fuel. And it wasn't enough to get me to Birmingham. So feeling a little bit stressed about going the wrong direction, basically wasting time and wasting fuel and wasting miles. I was now going in the right direction, but then looking for a fuel site. And my best way that I find fuel for the fuel card that's paying the best rate this week is to look for Texaco garages. So I did that, and I found Texaco garage a little bit off the motorway, but going in the right direction. I think I ended up going to Bolsover, went to Texaco there. So this is where it got really stressful, down to technology really. I have a fuel card which often I just sign the receipt for and then get the fuel, but sometimes they might ask me for the PIN. It just come with a PIN, and that PIN has changed in the last few weeks because I had to get a replacement card, and so I don't know the PIN off the top of my head. But what I do know is you go back into my phone and I can quite quickly get the PIN as a reminder on my phone through the Radius app. So I went back to my van. So I was in the petrol station paying for my fuel. There was one person behind me. I couldn't remember the PIN. I said, I'll go back and get my phone. I said to the lady, can you just cancel that while I do this so I don't hold up anyone else? And she said, no, I can't do that because I'll have to do it all again. Which I thought was a bit of a not helpful answer. So I was then rushing back to my van cab to get my phone. As I was walking towards the kiosk, I was getting the app open, getting ready to give her the PIN. And it was at this moment that the phone just stopped working. Just wouldn't do anything. When I touched anything, nothing happened. It just froze. The sort of, I'm going to call it circle of doom, where you have the sort of circle that goes around on your software when it's updating some data. I didn't even have that. I had just a frozen screen. So I went back into the kiosk, and I was sort of in the queue, and suddenly now 3 more people came behind me in this queue, obviously raising my stress levels quite high, because this app just wasn't doing anything, it was just frozen. So I was there in that kiosk with these people just trying to get this thing to desperately work. In my head I was shouting at it, come on, get on with it, you know, whatever. So I said to everyone, yeah, you all go in front of me, I'm still got to try and get this to work. So I just pushed it out of the way, and I was trying to get this phone app to work. In the end, I decided to restart my phone, and the restarting process took ages. Now I think my best guess is that I have my phone in a cradle just in front of the side vents, and I think it must have got too hot from the hot air coming out. My best guess, because it was very warm at the back of my phone. So the restarting process took ages. It must have been now about 7 or 8 minutes having to first start to pay, and every minute, every moment I was there looking at my phone, feeling I was being watched. And growing inside me was, I don't know how to describe it, just, just anxiety growing, stress growing inside me. I wanted to flip out, run away, but not be able to do it because I was very mindful that this is all on CCTV, and at this point, as far as the woman was concerned, I was just going to run off and steal the fuel. That's what I was thinking she was thinking. So even when I went back to the cab to get my wallet, I made sure I went into the passenger seat so it was clear I wasn't going to drive off. So I was giving up. I went back out to get my wallet to pay for the petrol or the diesel by card, and then just as I stepped out of the kiosk, the phone was on at this point, and the app came on. And I thought maybe it's a signal issue because I'm inside the kiosk. So I stood on the forecourt with my phone in my hands, trying to get the app to work, and it was sort of doing the circle of doom, not doing anything. So I gave up, went back to my cab, got my wallet, and went back in to pay with the bank card. As I walked through the front door of the kiosk, the app opened up. And it's about 3 or 4 clicks to get to the right page. So I did the 3 or 4 clicks, got to the right page, and it was doing the circle of doom just before it gave me the actual pin. And I was in this queue, and there's one person in front of me, and I thought, when I get to the front of this queue, I'm going to have to use my bank card, which I don't want to do, or I'm going to have to wait for this app to work. And I was hoping it would work before I got to the front of the queue. I got to the front of the queue, and just as I did that, the app did stop whirling and said, cannot find pin. And I just could have thrown the thing on the floor at that point. So I was paid the fuel with my bank card, and I was carried my cards, my wallet, my phone, my receipts out. Got back in my cab. I apologised to the lady waiting behind me on the forecourt who couldn't get away. Got in my cab, thinking I've got to get off this site now, out of everyone's way. And I looked down and I could not see my fuel card that was in my hand. I looked on the seat and I thought, well, I can't just wait spend ages looking at this here. So I got out of the way, got off the site, parked on the road, and had a quick good look at my front seat where I put my wallet down. It was nowhere to be seen. So this is the cherry on the icing on the crappy cake that I had. I had this point lost my card. I had it in my hands a few moments ago. So I decided I had to go back and see if I could find it. So I walked back across the road, onto the forecourt, across the forecourt, and there it was, my card on the floor outside the door of the kiosk on the outside. So I picked it up and skulked back to my van, feeling very, very stressed about the whole situation. And then suddenly my mind was going, I bet the ship thinks you're co-loading now because you've gone the wrong way and you spent ages in one location. And usually I would ring the shipper and just reassure them, oh, I'm not co-loading, this is what happened. I was so embarrassed about all the errors that were going on. I thought, he's not going to believe me. If I say all this to him, he's never going to believe this is true. I just have to hope he's not tracking me, and if he does ask me, I hope he believes me. But I just had in my mind, I thought, me trying to ring up out of the blue and explain, oh, by the way, don't worry, I'm not co-loading, I've just gone 20 miles out the wrong way and been here for a quarter of an hour. That was the thing that really made me think, am I going crazy? Am I going crazy? This. So, I debated whether I should tell you all that in my head because it's just quite embarrassing. But it is open and honest, and I suppose that is what I'm meant to be doing here. And I suppose I thought to myself, we all do make silly mistakes sometimes. So there you go. That's why I said it. It's what actually happened, so I'm telling you what actually happened rather than what I wish had happened. What I wish had happened is that I'd picked up the load in Lincoln and the shipper had gone, thanks for being so great with this ADR, being honest, give me another £10 and have a great day. I'll give you some regular work on a Friday. You've been so great. I would have then got to Birmingham with no issues, no traffic, and had time to do lots of other brilliant work that day. That was me trying to be funny, by the way. Humour is not my strong point, although I think I'm funny sometimes. Right, let's move on. So, what happened next? I got to Birmingham. Luckily, the actual offloading was really good. I was really blessed with some really good forklift drivers that day. So I went to an office. I had to give them the paperwork I had. It was like I'm going to call it a bonded warehouse. It wasn't a bonded warehouse in the strict terms, because it didn't require ID and it wasn't all sealed off. But it was like a warehouse on an airport. So I thought it would have very heightened security. But actually, when I got to the gate, it was open and the security guard just waved me through. And then I got to the point at which I was offloading, which was really close. And they just said, "Oh, just go down to the office, show the paperwork, and they'll give you a piece of paper." So I had some paper. I had to put some labels on the boxes because it was going abroad. So I stuck some labels on each box. But other than that, it was really easy, really nice. So I popped out of the airport area and moved to a local Morrison's, and then I was looking for another job. I'd finished that job at 2 o'clock. I was looking for another job, and I got one. It was from very close to where I was. It was about 15 minutes, no, it was about 10 minutes from where I was. Marston Green. It was, which is near, if you know the area, it's near the airport. Picking up from Marston Green and going to Olney, sort of Milton Keynes way. And that was a 4 miles, dead miles, and 10 minutes to get there. So a bit of luck at last. And I arrived at 2:45 to pick up the load. So I wasn't waiting too long. I was probably waiting about 20 minutes, half an hour from when maybe 20 minutes, because I went to get some food. Oh yeah, one thing I forgot. I went and got some more comfort food from Morrison's before I did anything else. Before I did any booking, any sort of bidding. I got some nice chocolatey stuff to eat. So that was going to Olney. It was for a medium wheelbase van. It was one pallet, and it was going 61 loaded miles. I put £60 on that. I think. Yeah, £60, that was right. So the pallet was yes, it was a double height pallet of what I thought was food boxes. And as I was driving towards Olney, I was thinking, the place I'm going to seems like it might be a Chinese restaurant. I thought I had Chinese boxes of food on the back. And they're not going to have a forklift to take us off, are they? So I was getting quite dreading the idea of having to handball this off, because I had not quoted for handballing. I had not had any note on there saying it was handballing. And so it was, I thought, well, I'll wait till I get there and see what happens, because maybe I'll be surprised. So I got to Olney and found the pub, as it were. It was kind of a pub. It wasn't a Chinese restaurant, it was a pub. And went inside and explained I was there to deliver some stuff. And they took me to the side of the pub, opened the door, and I explained I didn't have any kind of tail lift or pump truck or anything like that, so I'd have to handball this off. And she said, to give her credit, the sort of manager of the pub at the front said she'd help me or get some people to help. So I rang the shipper and I explained the situation, and I said that this is going to involve handballing. She said, how much do you charge for handballing? Which is a question I don't know how to answer, because it depends on how long it takes and what I'm doing, how far I'm travelling for. I could see that this was going to be a reasonably easy handballing. It was basically just taking off the van, across the path into a storage room just off the path. So there's really no walking involved. So I said I charge £30 an hour for my work, so I reckon it's taking about half an hour, so £15. And they agreed to it straight away. So I got, in the end, £75 for this job. And the handballing, I arrived at 4:10, but I'd finished handballing it all on with the help of the staff at 35 minutes past 4. So it actually wasn't too bad. 25 minutes all in. Not all of that was handballing, but it was quite heavy stuff. And in the end, it wasn't food, it was boxes of kindling, boxes of wood. Charcoal and kindling. Now, I'm going to get back a moment in time. When I was on my way to Olney, for about the last half an hour, I was really tired. And I know what kind of levels of tiredness I have. And this was a level of tiredness where my eyes were closing every so often. And if I had the time, I would have stopped and had a nap for an hour. So I thought, let me get there, get to Olney, get offloaded, and then I'm going to have to just see how I feel. Because maybe getting out in the fresh air and doing some work would have helped. So at just gone 4:30, I knew from previous in the week that I was not very far from Apple Green service station, at a crossroads between Northampton and Bedford, and Milton Keynes and Wellingborough going north-south. So to the east, Northampton; to the west, Bedford; to the north, Wellingborough; to the south, Milton Keynes. And that was where I stayed earlier in the week. So I went to that Apple Green, round the back, parked up, and got in the back of my van and had a little snooze for an hour and a half. And when I did wake up, it was dark. It was close to 7 o'clock. So I kind of missed all the work. Now at some point, I'm trying to work out if it was before I snoozed or after. I think it's before. I had booked in a job for the following morning. It was a job from Corby to Kettering, back to Corby, back to Kettering. So 2 runs, Corby to Kettering. So I had that booked in for the morning, and basically did exactly the same thing as I did earlier in the week. Rather than going home, wasting the time and the miles to go home, I went to Corby, parked up in this case at an Asda, a really large Asda car park in Corby, and that was about 4 minutes from my pickup in the morning. And that's where I tramped for the night, in the Asda car park. Again, I didn't get great sleep in the night. I was a little bit cold, but only a little bit, and not enough to do anything about it. Just noticed I was a bit cold, which I suppose made sure I woke up a bit earlier than I would have wanted to do. I probably got about 6 hours decent sleep, and I woke up at 7 properly, and my pickup today was for 8:30. So let me give you my stats for that day. Again, not a great day. So I got fuel, didn't I? So on the way down, I got fuel, but I didn't use my fuel card. So that's been disappointing. I've got a new average fuel price, 14.99 pence per mile. I drove 282 miles, 282, and I worked for 10.5 hours. I earned 2 CX jobs, £100 and £175, so 175. And I spent £42.27 on fuel. That means that after my fuel expenses, I earned £133 on that day. So, in my note, as I said at the start of this video, I remember that day as being very tired quite quickly, and tiredness kind of being the overriding feeling. And I suspect that the mistake I made by going the wrong direction and the stress of my fuel paying process, that probably added to me being tired. It took it out of me somewhat. Right, I'm quite tired today as well, to be honest. Right, so I'm not going to go on. I have written a note about the things that I learned about my brain yesterday, but I want to get this video sewn up a bit quicker, and maybe I'll have time to do that next week or on this video tonight for today. I will say one thing that I witnessed. I'll just share it with you guys, and I think we'll all have different opinions as to the rights and wrongs of the situation. So I was on a roundabout coming to one of my stops today. This is happened today, and a car going around the roundabout was obviously in the wrong lane and pulled across at the last moment so rather than going left of the roundabout as I was looking at it, he went straight on, but the straight on traffic was all queued up and stationary, and so the car, rather than going left, sort of went into the right hand lane as they were looking at it, to go straight on. And I didn't see it happen, but I saw the aftermath of it. There's a lorry really close behind it, and I heard the lorry beep the car, and I saw the car sort of right very close to the lorry. The lorry had sort of got right close to it. I saw the lorry sort of stop, then move forward a metre, and then be quite close behind this car. The car's angle showed me that it was cutting in into the lane. So I could see I didn't see the car do it, but I could see from at this point that the car must have cut across at the last moment, come into the lane in front of the lorry. And the lorry beeped and then kind of moved closer to the car to sort of, I would see it as being a bit of an intimidation thing, but yeah, we'd all see it differently. And you know, we see these things very often. I mean, I have got a lot of patience for people making mistakes on the road, because you know, it happens. We're all humans. We make mistakes. Sometimes signage isn't very clear. Sometimes you know, the traffic flow. One of the things that I find frustrating is that, I don't know if it's the case here, so you've got lots of flowing traffic lined up in lanes. You can't see whether the lane you're in is like a left only or left and straight on until quite late on. You got to pull across to perhaps the right hand lane if you don't know the area, when maybe it's not ideal. Maybe one should do it earlier. They really should have arrows sometimes earlier in the road. But anyway, there's a number of reasons why people might be in the wrong lane and choose to come across. So fair enough, I can see why the lorry driver was frustrated with the car, and fair enough. They beeped and they moved up close to the car to make it clear that they weren't happy. This is the bit I think I would struggle to understand. So the car was then allowed by the lorry driver to go in front. It was basically in front anyway. It was just a little bit over the left-hand white line, but it wasn't causing any danger. It was just an inconvenience to the lorry driver. And the lorry driver pushed his horn down and kept it on until I was off the roundabout. So it must have been about, I probably heard it for about 20 seconds, and I was driving off at this point. I could still hear it. So this was when the traffic was moving now, so it wasn't like the initial thing had happened. He beeped once, he'd moved up behind the car had sort of moved forward a bit, and they were beginning to move away. The traffic in the queue was beginning to move away. As it began to move away, he just stood on his horn, beeping it non-stop. Beep, but very loudly. Like non-stop for 20 seconds plus. And to me, he should not be on the road. That lorry driver is obviously emotional and angry, and expressing his anger by doing that. If you cannot control your emotions and you're controlling a lorry, I don't know how many tons it has, but it was a, I would call it a lorry. So it was, I don't know, maybe not an Arctic, I don't know how you define them. It had a trailer and a cab. So yeah, that's it. So it wasn't like a Luton van; it was a big lorry. And that lorry driver has not got the temperament to be on the roads. But it's not just him. I see it all the time. Lorry drivers and van drivers and car drivers beeping their horn as an act of aggression, just because they're annoyed about something. And I don't understand the mentality. That beeping the horn does nothing to help anyone else. It just raises tension, escalates the situation. I think it must make you feel a bit better, I suppose, if you're someone who does it. But obviously, also, everyone around you is getting frustrated by you doing it. I say you because I don't mean you. This is a video. I don't know what you do, but the person that's beeping the horn. So I see it around in this job quite a lot. People basically expressing their anger via their horn, and everyone that does that, I think, should not be on the roads, be it in a professional or a personal capacity. I know that we are all emotional beings, but just have a little bit of patience, kindness, common sense. It just bewilders me how some people get so upset so quickly. Right, I'll leave it there. So thank you very much for listening to my video. I am quite tired today, and this is Friday, but I'll try and do a video tonight, a quick one tonight, about today. Thank you for listening. Bye bye. Bye bye, friends.